I read recently online, a friend of mine on Facebook said that January is the Monday of months, and especially in terms of film releases, they are right. Because, man, it is hard to find a movie to go to. It's not that there's nothing out, it's just that nothing that makes you go, oh, I need to check that out. So I went to this one. This one was decided as voted on by my intro to theater students. Because I couldn't decide what to go see this weekend. So I put some choices up on the board and as they came, and I said, if you want to, vote. And this is what they voted on. And, man, this was... you get to a point in January when you really start to think to yourself, I remember when good movies came out. It doesn't seem like it was that long ago, right, guys? I mean, Mr. Chirpy, Joey, back me up on this. So this is pretty bad. This is pretty bad to me. It's there's a term floating around out there, and I've heard it kind of off and on. I don't really like the term, but I understand what it's talking about. And the term is toxic masculinity. And if I'm understanding it right, like the basis of it is it's, when you take traits that are perceived to be masculine, to be, more masculine traits than feminine, and I'm really trying to figure out how to try this, and you push those traits forward to a degree that is dangerous or toxic to you or other people, You get so mad that you punch walls and everything. You're so cocky and whatnot that you take dangerous chances. So stuff like that. Again, I'm not a big fan of the term, but I get what it's going for. And I think a better name for this movie is, Toxic Masculinity, the movie. Because all of its characters are just, they are a junior high school boy's vision of what a cool dude should be, and that is on both sides of the ledger. Theft movie and crime movies are difficult. You get ones kind of like we had last year with Going in Style and Logan Lucky, where the characters are fun and interesting, and you kind of sympathize with why they're doing. Okay, why they're doing what they're doing and all that. So even though they're breaking the law, you're still kind of rooting for them. Then you get the other ones like Ben Affleck's The Town, where the robbers are, while the robbers are still kind of the protagonists, quote unquote, you're not under any delusion that these are bad people. And the story is more about, like in the case of The Town, the story is more about Ben Affleck's character's kind of possible redemption, that he gets to a point where like he could, turn it all around, but then, he's in too deep, he's been doing it for too long, and that's the tragedy of it. Those ones are more of a tragedy. This one is trying to be the latter, but it's also trying to have characters that I think the audience is going to think are cool. So I'm not even sure where to start with this one. So of course the main story is there's this gang of bank robbers, and they're all ex-military and all really well trained, and they plan and they do all this stuff, and they do these heists that nobody thinks they can pull off and whatnot. We never get a clear reason as to why they are doing the heists. These are all guys from the military, and and there's all this stuff they can pull out with, they're not getting paid, or somebody stiffed them or something like that, but you don't really get an idea as to why these guys went from highly trained and decorated Marines to bank robbers. They just did. So you got them, and on the other side of it, you of course got manly man, sheriff department. I mean, these are guys. The main sheriff, played by Gerard Butler, who at any given shot looks like he's some kind of unholy genetic hybrid of Russell Crowe and John Goodman. This guy's character is like the most repulsive character. And they're trying to give you that, he's the manly man in a world that doesn't like manly men, and his unit is just going to take you down. They ain't going to worry about none of that arresting you crap. They're going to shoot you. I mean, there's a guy who, at any given point in the film, looks like you can visually see the dog shit fumes coming off of him. All right? I mean, but this is our hero, And it's the game of cat and mouse between the two of them and all this nonsense. I like action movies. And I think to like action movies, you have to admit to yourself that when you watch them, you're kind of engaging in, the baser instincts of, again, masculinity. For the films that feature male protagonists, let's say that. You can't really have an action film with a touchy-feely, main character. It doesn't really work. But now let's take this film and compare it to kind of the ultimate action film, Die Hard. You can argue that John McClane, Bruce Willis's character, it has toxic masculinity, and that his he wants to be the man, he doesn't want his woman to earn a living and all that nonsense. But what made Die Hard work is that through the course of the film, he realizes that he was wrong, So you can take the testosterone and all that from him, but you accept the other side because you're like, okay, he learned. He came out of it a different person. And then that goodwill kind of carries you through the subsequent sequels where he doesn't learn as much. This one does not have that. No, this guy is just a dick, and it's so clear in the visual shorthand that this guy is supposed to be what a man is supposed to be. Because again, he's scuzzy, he's got tattoos everywhere, he's got the beard and the long hair, kind of like, me, he drinks, he smokes, his boys say, fuck, but he never learns. He never learns that that's not good. No, he's just a badass, and everyone's got to learn it. And all the other, like the periphery characters, all the other men in the film who aren't on the sheriff or on the crew, they're all they're prissy, and they have wine tastings. Of course, because he's the rough and tumble sheriff. Of course, he has the FBI counterpart that they're always in the dick measuring contest with. And of course, he's a shorter guy with his hair all brill creamed, and he's wearing this suit because he's a prissy little man, and he's not a manly man like our hero. His wife, our hero, I keep using that term very loosely. Our hero's wife leaves him. Again, I want to point this out too, just interesting in terms when we're talking about toxic masculinity. In this film, there are only 2 real women who have prominent roles. One of which is his wife, who is portrayed as a bitch because, she doesn't like him, going out and spending his time with hookers, but she's seen as, the uptight bitch who won't let him do his job, so she moves out very, the first film in the first reel in the film there, and, goes and lives with her sister, and at one point, our dicky hero shows up at her sister's place, to be an asshole and sign, divorce papers. And of course, the guys that his wife is eating dinner with are all prissy men, and they've got their button-up polo shirts, and again, their hair is all broken. They're all slightly balding. He's got to intimidate the guy she's having dinner with, who's a short, skinny little dude. The message is just there, and it's like, I don't know. Like I say, the whole film just feels juvenile. Very juvenile. And there's a couple things I don't understand about these movies, any of them. And I gotta say this. When I worked at FYE, and this is years ago, and the guys would come to get the deposits. You know, the guys who drove the armored trucks. These were big fucking dudes. These were muscular guys, and, you know, they always looked like they could handle themselves. Why is it in these, you know, bank robbery movies, whenever they go to rob the armored truck, the guys driving the armored truck are always these short, dumpy guys who, like, they see trouble and they're like, you know. Yeah. Now, I gotta say there were some parts of this movie I like. So the overall theft, the overall heist part of it, that was actually kind of clever. Like the plan and all that. I'm not going to go into it because I don't want to spoil it if you do want to watch this yourself. So it was actually kind of clever. So that was good, and it had kind of that Logan Lucky twist at the end, where the person you thought was the sap the whole time was actually the mastermind and all that. So it was an interesting twist. There's one scene in this movie I really do like. So, there's this scene where one of the bank robbers, and I don't know any of these characters' names, but one of the bank robbers, he's this big African American guy. I think he's one of the rappers in the film. They do this scene at his house where some guy comes to pick up his daughter for prom. And he says, "Here, I want to talk to you for a second." He takes him in the back room, and you think, oh, he's going to do one of those scenes where he's like, "You be good to my daughter," and all that, like, "I'll kill you." But in fact, he takes him in there, and there's all these big, muscular dudes from the bank robbery crew, all these big Samoans, and, you know, and they're just sitting there, you know, and like that was actually a funny scene. Like that actually really worked. That's something else this film does. It's really obnoxious. Like all throughout the film, little title things pop up all over to tell you like where they are at any given point. At the first thing, it tells you like it tells you like where they are, and then it goes like next to the main villains, you know, Merriman. It tells you his name. And then it goes, when the cops investigate, you know, Big Nick, you know, it tells you Donnie. It doesn't tell you any of the other names of the characters. And then all throughout the film, it's telling you where in LA they are, which would be great if I lived in LA, or I'd ever gone to LA and had any frame of reference for where the hell any of these places were in relationship to each other. But I don't, so it makes no frickin' sense. And there's a lot of things like that. Okay, so the bad guys, when they realize the sheriff and all that's kind of onto them, they do this diversion thing for the big score, where they pretend like they're going to go rob a smaller bank and hold everybody hostage and all that. And, you know, they're just actually trying to blow into the basement so they can crawl out and go rob the actual bank. Okay, fair enough. So our villains, or our antagonists, our bank robbers, get there, and they start the whole heist thing. Our heroes realize it almost immediately, and they're tearing to the place. They're driving to the bank. They're driving full speed. It takes them the entire length of the heist to get there in the same, you know, when our villains kind of skipped there and got there before them. It's like, it doesn't add up. You know? And, you know, normally in a bank robbery movie or in a heist movie, if characters are fun and you're engaged with them and you're engaged with their plight or whatever, little logic jumps like that you can overlook. Like, I love Logan Lucky, but I am the first to admit the scheme they come up with is like so unbelievable that it could ever actually work, you know. But I like the characters, I like the situation, you know, so you're willing to overlook it. This one, not so much. This one is just, you know, the characters are all just, you know, again, some, you know, 7th grade boys' interpretation of what, you know, cool cops and cool gangsters look like. And all of them just engaged in a almost, I don't know how long this movie was, but it felt like forever. You know, just engaged in this, you know, 2-hour-long dick measuring contest, which, you know, got old really, really fast. I mean, and then when they have the big shootout at the end, and, you know, you've got, you know, the good guys are in flak jackets, the bad guys are in flak jackets, they're all shooting back and forth, the camera jumping, like, you don't know who's on whose side. somebody goes down, you're like, oh no, who was that? I don't even know this guy's name. Who? I don't know. Yeah. The only thing this film did was it made me hungry for Chinese food. It's the only thing this movie did. Because Chinese food plays into the robbery scenario, so it made me hungry for Chinese food. So I'm getting Chinese food. So yeah, like I said, this one was voted on by my students. Yeah, it's pretty bad. I didn't enjoy it. I was bored, and yeah, just kind of, yeah, I don't want to say disgusted. I think that's a harsh term, but just kind of like ugh. Yeah, I got nothing else. I don't know what else to say about this one. It was pretty. I guess it is what you kind of think it is. So I'm trying this new thing. I was thinking about this is how bored I was during the movie. Is like critics need a scale or something sometimes. So I decided what I'm going to try. I don't know how long I'll keep with this. Since I'm a teacher, I'm going to give movies grades. So let's do that. What do you think? We'll see how it works. So I think the final grade I'd give this one is a D+. It wasn't incompetently made or anything like that, and the twist, at the end is okay-ish. The scheme itself is not bad, and there is that really funny scene with the guy's daughter. But other than that, there is just not much to recommend in this that hasn't been done better in, a dozen other movies. So go watch one of those dozen other movies. You want a good heist film? Go watch Ocean's 11 or Logan Lucky. You want, a moral movie about the moral implications of robbery and all that? Go watch The Town. There's no reason to watch this movie. So, well, we're going to keep slogging through. I'm sure eventually 2018 will produce a good movie. It's got to happen. There's 2 Marvel films coming out this year, so we gotta hit this anyway. But anyway, so that's Den of Thieves. Thank you, Intro to Theater class, for this. I don't know if we'll give them another shot. We'll see. So anyway, I hope everybody has a good week. We'll see what's going down at the theaters next week. Until then, for myself, for Chewy and Mr. Chirpy, drive safe, and we will see you at the movies.